While Freesia and Kochi failed to show at Zandvoort, Millward wasted no time in picking up their dropped ball. However, a valuable 4 points were left on the table when Alex missed out on both pole and fastest lap. Could those come back to haunt the Brit? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 7 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Ryan Bauer, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. The British drivers will have extra motivation on home territory this afternoon, but this is an older version of Silverstone, so let's head to our track guide to learn a little bit more about it. Welcome to Silverstone. Most famously known for being the first circuit to host a round of Formula One, this place has since become synonymous with British motorsports. Hosting everything from sports cars to touring cars to open wheels and even motorcycles, it's a track that fits a wide variety of vehicles. With 5 different layouts to choose from, you've got a little something for any level of racing. The longest of those layouts boasts 17 turns over more than 3 miles or 5 kilometers, so it can take a bit to get around it, even in higher-powered machinery. Its main characteristics are the long straights, swift corners, and general lack of elevation change. Its most famous set of turns is definitely the Maggots-Beckett sequence, in which anything with high downforce finds itself challenged with the rapid changes of direction. While there is a fair bit of paved runoff in quick corners like Copse and Stowe, the time lost from going off can be costly. There's a few turns with opportunities for overtaking, including Vale, Abbey, and Priory. But in cars with less horsepower, expect the slipstream to be where many attempt to get by. The Hangar Straight is perhaps the most notorious for draft battles to erupt. All in all, this versatile racetrack located just northwest of London provides both history in its roots and action on the tarmac. The huge number of British fans that typically attend events are seldom left wanting. DJ, this place is almost a tradition for the Lotus 79 community, but talk to us a little bit about how the cars will drive around this swift course.
Well, Joe, the ground effects of these cars will make going through the areas like the Maggots and Beckett's complex relatively simple, or as simple as it can be driving around Silverstone. But it is going to be a challenge no matter what. The Priory Luffield Woodcut section, always difficult no matter what car you're in. And because this is the historic layout, we're going to see a little bit of reduced passing opportunities potentially. Now, the caveat with that is you can get a good draft down the Hangar Straight going into Stowe. We may also see a good draft or two through Farm Straight and through Abbey. But overall, this is going to be a battle of car control. These cars are very, very slippery. They're hard to get under them, and you've got to make sure you're ready. And the other part that is going to be very, very difficult, remember, this is the old layout, so they start before Copse. Copse is the first corner, and in these cars, on a full tank of fuel, that's a very tricky first corner to take.
Yeah, it could cause a few problems, I'm sure, as they try to sort themselves out. But things in the championship have still sorted in favor of Gernot Freesia, leading the way. Nicola Kochi only 4 points behind, but neither of them showed last week. So really the big change here in our standings graphic is Alex Millward, getting it down to 39 points. Freesia is here today, and Nicola Kochi is not. So it'll continue to shuffle around. We'll see how it looks after the race is over. We have a team's championship. Why don't we go through that, DJ?
Well, in that team's championship, you can see there Wersteiner Arrows Racing Team having a 12-point advantage over Abelard Williams Racing, so able to build that out a little bit more. Equipped Renault Elf is 21 points back, still looking in, but they've got some work to do with Parmalat Racing Team breathing down their necks, only 7 points back of them, with Team Essex Lotus only about 8 points back as well, so very close across the board in that team's championship.
Now for today's event, we're looking at 29 laps. It does take a bit to get around here, even with all the fast straights and fast corners. It's an open setup series, so drivers will be trying to find that balance of speed and grip. And the incident limit is at 17, where they'll have a drive through 25 with a disqualification It's a modern Grand Prix track, even though it is the quote-unquote historic version. So there'll be plenty of places where it's easy to tip over the racing edge, the edge of the track, as we take a look at Phil Lake trying to set a time here. It's the UKNI driver looking forward to maybe trying to steal a win on home territory today. He's already done that once this season over in the Camel GT series and the Audi GTOs. Sure would be nice, I'm sure, for him to be able to do so twice. Valverde, the first to put a time in, and he's immediately beat by Vascaloppi. Hovdal into fourth, so not looking quick for him today as we continue to follow Lake now into the infield portion with Priory and Brooklands.
And this is where the track should look familiar to what we are used to in the modern layout. Is the Luffield corner coming up always so difficult?
That's so long. It's just frustratingly long, especially in these cars as Phil Lake comes across. Gernot Friesche does not set a time that time. Looks like he was just on his outlap, but Phil Lake was not. And he gets a 26.4 down. That's good enough for 7th. Waiting on Millward and the Turk to set a time. Those are two other quick drivers that need to put one down. We watched from on board Friesche for a moment as now we head over to Millward, who looks like he's coming through Abbey.
Indeed, he does. There he goes under the bridge. Now, this is one of those areas where you maybe can get an overtake done, that sweeping corner of bridge and then heavy braking down into Priory. It's a little bit of a trickier place to do it, not nearly as straightforward as passing into Stowe, but you can get it done. Millward looking like he's got a pretty good handle on that tricky complex of corners.
Well, they train grade not looking too bad. He put it up into second, but he's half a second behind Vascaloppi. As Millward crosses the line, it is a 26.2, not pole. He'll start from third. Hovdal finds his way up into second, and Marco Kayla into P2 now as well.
That's a great lap for him. Partanen is up into third as well, still waiting for a couple more laps to get put down. Riding on board with Friesche around the interminably long Luffield. Just waiting for it there. Let's see if Gernot's got anything here on this second flying lap. He's going to cross over the line with a 26 flat. That's only going to be good enough for third.
Yeah, the Turk is the one that's beat him up to the front row. And the Turk still seeking a victory this season and finally getting things on track recently. He was talking about that during the interviews last time out. As we look at Alex Millward, surprisingly far down for this number 7 machine, all the way down in 8th position here today.
Yeah, it's not exactly what I would expect from Alex, but he does have this second lap to do, so let's see if he's able to do it. Coming around Priory right there, lining up for Brooklands before heading into Luffield. It's all about timing on this, even in these later cars. There you can see a late apex from Alex, kissing that apex perfectly, running the car out wide. Looks like he's got a pretty good line through there. Is this going to be an improvement for Millward? Yes, to the tune of about 0.2 of a second.
Which is enough for third place. That tells you how tight it is. And Marco Kayla says, nope, you're going to get bumped down, because he moves up into the lead and takes pole away. I think that might be it on our qualifying. I do see Kalahara out there, but he's only going to get, no, he will get both laps potentially. He just crossed the line at 27.0. That'll put him in 18th as Gernot Friesche finishes his second lap, 25.7. Third place, there is 0.17 of a second from first to fourth today so far.
Yeah, it's very, very tight up at the top, and with a track like Silverstone, I think that should provide some good action, some good battles. We may see a little bit of swapping back and forth, may see a little bit of strategy coming into play as well. Obviously, nobody's going to be making a pit stop, but there's plenty of room to draft if you maybe want to back off a little bit, underfuel the car ever so slightly, try to gain a little bit more speed over your competitors.
Ooh, Pekka is pushing. You could see how much it was drifting out of Stowe, nearly 2 wheels into the grass. But now coming through Club up towards Abbey. It looks so bare without the wing here along what is now the Hamilton Straight, and down into Bridge. Look at how fast they can go through here.
Just absolutely flying. I love seeing these Lotus 79s in action. Little bit of oversteer there for Kalahara, trying to keep the car wound up under him. Doesn't quite look like he's got it completely there. Oh, big slide coming through Luffield. Now, that may look good, but that's definitely going to cost him a couple of tenths of a second. I don't think this is going to be an improvement for the Finn.
No, it is not. 4/10 off of his best time, and that is it for our qualifiers. So that means the grid is set, and it is Marco Kayla who comes in and steals it away, taking those 2 valuable bonus points. Vascalampi to the outside of him. Then it's 3 championship contenders in a row. Frisha in 3rd, De Turk 4th, and Millward in 5th. Partanen starts to his outside. Ove Trangerade will be P7. Matthias Hovdal will be 8th today, and then row 5 has Tolanen and Seppa.
In 11th, it's going to be Sergio Valverde, followed by Paul Williams. In 12th, Phil Lake will be 13th, followed by Luke Barba, with Sebastian Morin and Daniel Banker lining up behind them. Then in row 9, it's Nicholas Mukanos, followed by Pekka Kalahara, with Ben Laughter lowly down in 19th and Robert Plumley in 20th.
Not only do they have cops to worry about here on this old version as we take a look at the weather, but we have to remember that the start line is very early on the straight, and you can see them having to line up around a curve, which is always tricky trying to get the throttle down in these things, DJ.
It certainly is. So much torque going through these rear tires, and when you're on a curve like that, it'll definitely throw you off a little bit. So that's something drivers are going to have to be cognizant of, try to keep an eye of, and especially it's going to benefit anybody that is starting in those odd-numbered grid slots. They are going to be on the inside of that corner. They'll be able to get away a little bit faster.
Waiting for the last of them to get out there. Looks like we got all of them gridded up. Round 7 in the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series sees the lights up. And the green flag is out off the line. It is much better for Vascalampi in the second phase. Initially, Kayla was getting off faster than he was around the outside, trying to take the lead away from him. It's not quite there as those in the back look like they're able to successfully navigate that corner. It is a drag race up the Maggots and Beckett's, and I think Vascalampi's got it. No, coming back at him once again, trying to go around the outside as Kayla now sneaks through and denies him.
That was incredible stuff from Kayla and really threw Vascalampi off his game. That's going to allow him to be very vulnerable to Gernot Frisha as they head down the hanger straight. Frisha opting not to go into the draft too much, but De Turk looking to pressure now behind Frisha.
Ooh, De Turk's got a fast car in a straight line, it seems, as they come around Stowe. He's almost got it. It'll be the inside into Vale, but it's a much more open corner. Still, he gets it done. And now in another position, here comes Alex Millward. Frisha, who was leading his championship rivals, might lose both spots in the opening lap.
It almost looks like there's something wrong with Frisha's car, the way he is just falling back. Lots of pressure there applied by Millward, as that is now Partanen behind, trying to take an eye if he can.
Wonder if that car's not good early on in the race, and if he has trouble making those overtakes later. Oh, as Hovdal is struggling here through the technical infield section. You can see him making corrections. He's fighting side by side with Seppa there for 7th.
Yeah, Hovdal very nearly losing it coming through Luffield and got that car into a four-wheel drift. There goes Frisha popping out to the inside of Millward, but not able to make the move. Let's see if he's maybe got a little bit more downforce dialed into that car, if he's able to come through Maggots and Beckett's faster.
Well, he's gaining on the rear of Millward, so that's a good sign, at least in this portion of the track. But now out of Chapel onto the hanger straight. Yeah, look at him. Just close right up on him. He'll get the slipstream, which will help, but he pokes his nose out early. He'll get the full blast of that air in his face, and he's not fast enough. Millward around the outside doesn't quite shut the door into Stowe, but finally, Frisha has to give up the ghost.
Yeah, Joe, and it's really on corner exit that it looked like Frisha was able to just absolutely go. So my guess is that he's got a little bit more rear wing dialed into that car, able to get the power down a little bit more coming through the corners. But we focus ahead now on your leader, Marco Kayla, as he continues to lead this race.
Has 3/4 of a second over Vascalampi, so he's certainly not within range of an attack, but you can't make any mistakes from here. We now look at Ove Trangrade in 9th. He is in the midst of a huge train of cars. That is Seppa in front of him. He's got Lake, Williams, Tolanen, Barba, Kelahara, and Banker all in this group.
Yeah, it very much looks like he's a little bit of the cork in the bottle here. Everyone praying to get by the best that they can, but the good news for the cars behind is if they're able to keep it nice and close through Maggots and Beckett's, and once they get onto the hangar straight, that'll be a mega draft train. Don't be surprised if we see a car or two poking their nose out.
Hope I'm not cursing things, but I'm very pleased to see how clean the start was throughout the field. Don't think there's been any major issues that I've witnessed as we come off of Chapel once again. And I think, is this Freesia? Yeah, this is Gernot that we're watching, trying around the outside this time of Millward, but still lacking the straight line speed that he needs. And, ooh, he might have a good exit, though. Let's see, DJ, if he's got this.
He's going to have to be late on the binders, but he thinks better about it. I like the idea there from Freesia. If he's running a little bit more downforce, he would be able to run around the outside of Stowe with a little bit more speed, but just not able to make it work. We jump back now to Philip Lake as he is trying to chase down Ove Trangrade in front of him, sweeping their way through Abbey and down Bridge. Not really gaining too much to be able to make a move there.
Now this is top split, we should remind our viewers. So this is the best of the best here in this strength of field. So this is why we're seeing so many troubles trying to overtake, as nobody really should be making it quite as many mistakes as you might see in a single split event. Riding on board down the old pitch straight towards Copse once again. Vascalampi setting the fastest lap of the race, but things are holding station up towards the front.
Yeah, Kayla really able to hold it back the best he can, riding on board with Phil Lake.
Tolanen. Sorry, we had an incident with Jukka Tolanen in the 9. He's our first victim of these very fast corners, and you can see the damages he's already taken a tow into pit lane.
All right, so this is coming onto the pit straight right now. Tolanen there in that red machine. He's going to come through Copse here. Gets the apex right, but just runs it wide and runs onto that little narrow strip of grass, loses control of the car, and right out into the wall.
Unfortunate to see, and somebody else has some damage. That's Valverde. Not sure what happened there. We'll try and check in on it in a bit. Trangrade is in a side-by-side battle with Phil Lake, and they're going to go wheel-to-wheel through Bridge into Priory. It's the latest of the late breakers, which is neither. They stay side-by-side into that corner and into Brooklands as well, sliding the car. Phil Lake struggling to find the grip through the left-hander, switches back into left field. Neither one giving way, but the launch goes to Trangrade. He'll briefly hold the position ahead of Lake, but we have a situation that looks eerily familiar as Lake manages to get his nose to the inside, coming into Copse, and he'll take that spot back way off the course. Trangrade now loses out to Paul Williams and Barba.
Yeah, Trangrade just had to get out of it there, or otherwise he was going to have a situation like he saw Jukka Tolanen have, that he would just get out into the gray and into the grass and totally lose control of that car. So discretion, the better part of valor right now for Ove Trangrade. He's still close enough to be in attack mode on Barba and Williams, so this is not done yet.
4-car battle effectively for 9th position as we watch from the 5-car there. That's Hovdal. Or what, looking at the 5-car rather. We were watching from Partanen coming out of Club. Just ahead of them as well, Freesia and Millward in there.
Yeah, they're definitely pulling in on that battle. Oh, Freesia taking a little bit of a look there into Bridge. I like that attack mode from him, but that's going to leave him vulnerable. Partanen trying to take a look there, and that attack from Partanen is now allowing for a little bit of Hovdal to come through. Freesia, they're surprisingly struggling a little bit in Brooklands. It looked like that car got a little bit sideways. Ooh, this looks like a good run here for Partanen.
Absolutely. Coming down into Copse corner. Don't think he's quite close enough. Yeah, It's just going to be at arm's length, and Freesia will retain 5th. Oh, but a mistake from Millward, and he's slow coming towards Maggots and Beckett's. 1 gone, 2 gone, not quite 3, as Hovdahl has to check up.
Looked like almost a little bit of a slowdown penalty potentially there, Joe, for Millward, but that's going to now give Gernot Freesia 4th place. He's got a lot of work to do to try to chase down Michael de Turk ahead of him in 3rd, but he's also got to worry about this stream of cars behind him. This is Hovdahl, though, trying to take a look at Millward. Is he going to be late on the brakes enough to be able to get that down into Stowe? Ooh, sideways completely, but holds on to it.
These guys are at their limit out there right now. Coming into Club, who gets the launch out of here without the Abbey chicane? It is very fast down to Priory, but nobody seems to be close enough, except for maybe Seppa at the back of this group, who we ride on board with now. Getting close to the gearbox of Hovdahl, but not close enough.
Yeah, not quite close enough to really be able to get anything to go. We've seen this story before, but I'm interested to see now what Partsinen can do to the back of Freesia. He's really holding on well.
On board with Partonen now at the 2nd spot in this train. Trying to break away a little bit from Millward. Coming into Copse, that is Gernot just ahead of him. Ooh, a little bit off the corner there for a second for the 16. Loses a bit of time, but no harm, no foul, as we once again poke our noses up to our leader.
Jumping back up, Marco Kayla doing a very good job to keep Vascalampi at bay. Vascalampi is going to be able to take control or take advantage of the draft in front of him, which we'll be happy about. But Kayla hasn't made any mistakes here, just driving a very clean race and doing a great job on it.
We didn't see it, don't have to go back to it. Seppa also went a little wide through Copse. He lost a couple spots, but saved the car from doing what Tolanen experienced and didn't spin it out. Right now, we're looking at Williams, one of those cars that did manage to overtake Seppa as he was trying to collect things. 2nd in line as he's led by Phil Lake, chased by Barba and Trangarade.
Yeah, you can see him there diving down under bridge. That's a good run for Williams. Don't think he's really going to have enough to do it. And now Barba looks a little bit better. It's one of the amazing things about the setups we're seeing here today, Joe. For every time it looks like you're able to gain a little bit of speed, a little bit of ground on your competitor in front of you, it just pulls right back the other way.
Yeah, these things do have a little bit of wake behind them, so it seems that following closely is proving somewhat tough, even though they do have the downforce on the underside of the car. Williams chucking it into Copse, trying to chase down Lake. Doesn't get the exit that he needs. Down into Maggots and Beckett's. Anybody have the advantage with downforce through here?
Doesn't quite look like it as is. You saw there, by the way, Barba going very wide on Copse.
Vascalampi's off. Our 2nd place driver. Did he hit the wall? He just returned to the track out of Chapel.
Let's jump back and check out the replay here. Now, he was getting closer and closer to Kayla. Now, this is coming through Maggots and Beckett's. Has a little bit of a problem on the exit of Chapel. Let's see what this is. Ooh, touches the grass there on the line in. Ooh, that's a pretty big hit on the wall. I'm pretty sure that he's going to have a little bit of damage, probably a little bit of floor damage that may be on that car, and that can certainly hurt him.
As we come back to Hovdahl here in 6th place, but some real trains forming in multiple spots throughout the fields. Hovdahl certainly in the thick of one himself. The one that this does benefit with that incident we saw for Vascalampi, who's now in this group, is de Turk. He is up to 2nd. Remember, he's trying to fight for this championship. He's a long ways back from our leaders, but he'll be gaining valuable points here today ahead of Freesia and Millward. Really, Millward probably the one in the worst position out of them, sitting in 5th.
No, exactly, Joe. And as we've talked a couple of times to de Turk, we know that that's kind of his way of thinking about it. Just get a maximum amount of points. Riding on board here with Hovdahl as he tries to chase down Alex Millward. As you said, Millward also probably thinking about that championship a little bit. He does not want to give over a position to the Scandinavian if he can avoid it. Looks like Hovdal's a little bit better on the brakes there coming through Stowe. Ooh, a little bit of a wiggle there, though, for the 5.
Right on top of that rear wing. I'm impressed that Vascalotti behind them has been able to hold on as well as he had, although he goes very wide. Oh, and he starts to lose control for the second time. He's through the grass, the car bounding over, and he slides back into the racing line. And Paul Williams, unfortunately, is sent on his lid.
Oh, no. And as you said it, Joe, just went very, very wide on the exit of the corner here. You can run wide on that exit of Luffield, but when he tried to get the power on, what I suspect is he took a little bit too much of the curbing. Yep, there it is. Got some air, and that caused that ground effects underneath to lose it. Oh, and there's Paul Williams just getting collected. I have to say, I feel bad for him. Vascalotti tried to do everything that he could to keep that car going the right way and just caught up in the carnage.
Yeah, I know Paul was pretty upset over the radio, but I mean, if I was if I was in his position off track like that, Vascalotti's, I would be trying to save it that whole way too.
Well, and you saw that big plume of brake smoke when he came back onto the track. He was very clearly trying to save it when he was on the grass and not in anybody's racing line. But the minute that car veered back onto the tarmac, he immediately pressed down hard on the brakes, tried to stop the car so it would be predictable. That's exactly what you're supposed to do. And Phil Lake, it's just one of those racing incidents that happens sometimes.
It was Williams that hit him, but Lake up in 7th, not doing too shabby. Sure, he wants a little better than that. He was looking quite good at Zandvoort before a mistake took him out of that one. We're still not quite halfway through this event. Plenty of racing to go. 3 DNFs, though, so far in the form of Vascalotti, Williams, and Tolanen. We take a look at Banker now on screen. And he is one that was pretty happy with his qualifying, but shocked to find that he started as low as he did.
Yeah, and sometimes that can happen. You just think you put in the perfect lap, and you are way off the pace, unfortunately. There you see him trying to chase down the best he can in front of him. Really working, running a little bit wide there on the exit of Cops. Is he going to try to make a move in there? He thought about it going into Maggots.
He wanted to. He surely wanted to. Trying to take that 11th place away from Kellahara. And then on to the hangar straight as they start to pick up speed. Already 150 miles an hour, 160. And we're looking at Hovdal, the Scandinavian, in the meantime, a little bit farther up the road, getting close to Millward once again.
I love that camera angle there for us, given this by Dougie Beard. You can really see what is required to drive these cars well. Watch as he comes through some of the high-speed corners here. Look at how he's pulling the wheel back to the left through a right-hander, opening up the steering, making sure that there's maximum grip for those front tires, not overexerting the tires. It's exactly how you have to drive it. There's a lot of little mini micro corrections that you've got to do in this car to get it right. And it really, really requires a lot of patience and confidence in the car and confidence in your ability to recognize where that grip is.
Coming down into Cops, Millward still holding station. Neither of them off into the AstroTurf as we check back with Kellahara once again and Banker. And I think they are gaining on Seppa. Now, Seppa got some damage, did he not? I believe. Trying to remember what sent him back here. Actually, no, he just had a spin, I believe, if I'm looking at my notes correctly. So the 6 maybe is pulling away instead of being caught.
Yeah, indeed. You know, I would. It's a little bit uncharacteristic for Seppa to have a spin like that, but it looks like he was able to avoid pretty much with damage. Doesn't have the handy dandy little sticker on that front part of the cockpit that should pops up sort of when there is some floor damage, but that's all he may be suffering from. Riding back here, though, this is Hovdal. We've been following this pretty close. This is the closest we've seen him, Joe.
Certainly is. And from what I know of Hovdal, he's probably got a very quick car in a straight line. Let's see if Millward can hold him off. certainly not going to help him here in this portion of the lap coming through Luffield. Hovdal, though, ooh, big slide, a lot of tire spin coming off of Luffield is unfortunately going to send him backwards.
Yeah, that's not what he wanted to see, but we've got a little bit of a battle here shaping up for P2. Frisha has been able to catch Deturk.
Ooh, okay then. Well, Frisha got passed a little bit earlier as Deturk got by on the first lap. Now he wants this one back, and I floated the idea that maybe Gernot's car is better later in the race. It's starting to look like that might be the case.
You are indeed right there, Joe. Pokes his nose to the outside a little bit, going down into Stowe, trying to see if he can force Deturk off the line. But really going in there, yeah, I think you're right. He may have that car, Frisha, that is just set up to run a little bit better on lighter fuel.
I guess better to have it feeling good towards the end of the race. He can fly forward, try to take some positions at the end, just hold on for dear life at the beginning, which seemed to be what Gernot was doing early on. Now braking and slowing it up as that thing looked very loose.
Yeah, very much so. And remember that, as the fuel burns off in this car, we don't take pit stops in this series. So as the fuel burns off, that car is going to get a little bit more loose, as well as the fact that these tires get grippier and grippier as the race goes along. They wear in and they feel better. So you're going to get more contact with the tires. They're going to feel better. They're going to grip more. But the problem is that they don't really have a fall off in terms of grip. When they run out of grip, they run out very fast. So that's why you see late in the race moments of snap oversteer where the tires are just overtaxed and unable to take any more.
Back to Frisha as we took a little look at Trangrade in 8th for a brief moment. He's hanging on the back of Phil Lake as Hovdal also managed to get by that number 4 recently. A little look to the inside. Nothing doing for Gernot this time into Stowe. Oh, but he's got a great exit. Seeing some wing damage on a few of these cars, possibly from curb strikes, as they do ride extremely low, and as thin as some of these curbs are, you can see just how aggressive you have to be.
Yeah, you've really got to take them as hard as possible. And it's all the damage that we're seeing on these cars. Your leader, Kayla, also has some a little as well. It's on the left front wing. So I think that that's pretty common across the board. Good pressure there. You can see that left front wing damage on Kayla.
Oh, and Frisha has an attempt going around the outside through Luffield. This has worked for some drivers in modern day. What about an old machinery? Doesn't seem like it this time. He could get another bite coming off and along the pit straight. And again, this is way too close to what real life has been like recently. And he chucks the car in, but he's going to back out. No Lewis Hamilton for Gernot Frisha. He is not willing to run into Michael Deturk.
Absolutely loving that defense there from Michael Deturk. You can see it's not over aggressive, just a little bit of movement here and there, trying to force Frisha onto the worst line possible. He did it through Luffield. He did it coming down the start-finish straightaway. Absolutely brilliant. Now, here comes Frisha back on the attack again. We've seen him be pretty good into Stowe. Is he going to try anything here? No, he's too far back. He is not going to go for it, but he is still very close to that number 10.
Climbing all over the rear of that car. It's looking like a matter of time, but you never know. Michael Deturk is certainly a cool customer as they come off of club. Now he falls back a little bit right when he probably wants to be up all over that gearbox.
Yeah, and that's a relatively high-speed corner is club as you come around the exit of it, so you're going to lose a little bit of performance on the wings of those cars for Frisha. Now he's going to be able to stick it in here nice and close as they go through Brooklands. Keeps it tight. Going into Luffield, very, very close there. He's not going to have another attack, but we may see him try to get a better run. A little bit of understeer there coming out of Luffield. I don't think he's going to be close enough to have an attack at the cops.
Don't need to go to it, but Phil Lake had a spin through Priory, lost a couple positions, didn't hit anything. He's down to 9th place. And Frisha, Side by side into Maggots and Beckett's. Does he dare on this one? He wants to, but it's not there. He goes wide, almost into the grass, saves the car. He'll get another bite down the hanger straight. Oh, if he gets a good exit, though, as he spins the wheels up, and no, he will not get another bite.
Yeah, he almost had it there coming off of Chapel. But as you said, Joe, just spun the tires a little bit, had to catch the car ever so slightly, and that didn't exactly give him the run that he wanted. So he's going to have to wind this up all over again. Come down here into Club, working their way through. Remember, this is where he lost some ground last time. The other thing he's got to keep in mind, this is Peterson behind him. This is P4. He is gaining a hand over fist because of the battle that Turk and Freisha are having.
Yeah, all this mucking around has slowed them up tremendously, and Peterson is now within about a second, actually, of these two. So he might feel some of the effects of the slipstream once they get to the hangar straight down into Brooklands and Luffield. Switching back around, Freisha seems to be able to get quite close in this portion. Is he using up his stuff, though? Is he burning up those tires underneath him?
I wouldn't be too concerned about it. With track temperatures at only about 71 degrees, yes, Silverstone is pretty abrasive, but in these tires, they should last 29 laps, no problem. Millward setting the fastest lap of the race. Here comes Freisha again, maybe trying to make a look here, force an error through Maggots and Beckett's.
It's very close to the back of him, but not close enough. Last time it was slipping up a little bit that cost him. This time he doesn't. I don't think he's quite close enough, though. You can see them weaving off to the side as De Turk wants to try and break that draft. Breaking into Stowe. No, not even a look from Gernot.
And I'm a little bit surprised by that. Normally, if I was in that position, I would poke my nose to the inside or outside, just try if I could see De Turk to get him off the line a little bit. But it may also be that Freisha knows, as you said, Joe, just how cool of a customer Michael De Turk is, and that kind of psychological game is not going to have any effect.
Got a pretty good run this time, coming through Abbey up to Bridge and Priory. Don't think he's able to try anything at this point, yeah, as we ride on board, but a much wider entry into Priory, opens the door down into Brooklands, and he just sends it in, hopes that it sticks, manages not to run into his rival, and he's once again going to be around the outside of the long hairpin of Luffield. This time he finds the grip. He's on the wrong side of the track for a pass around Cops. Are they going to stay side by side? This could be a great opportunity for Parton, and if they do, they are going to stay side by side, but it is Freisha who has to give up the ghost, and Parton now has a run.
Yeah, Freisha there, I think, was trying to go for the over-under on the exit of Cops, and it just didn't fight for him. Ooh, tries to poke his nose again down into the inside of Maggots. Not going to work there for him. Parton now fully involved in this battle. We look out the back of the rear wing of Michael De Turk.
I get the feeling Freisha is much better on the binders into the Maggots-Beckett sequence. And, oh, he's going to have to play defense. De Turk at first covers off, then back to the racing line, and he's safe for the time being. Freisha with a good exit. Coming up to Vale. How sneaky does he want to be? Not sneaky enough this time. As Partonen watches with hungry eyes, we hop on board with him. One little mistake, and instead of taking a position, Freisha could lose one.
Yeah, exactly. He's got to be very careful working their way there through Abbey. Now about to jump under Bridge and take that right-hander before getting into Priory. Now watch this. This is where Freisha was able to set up the move last time. That very, very wide entry, allowing him to get a better run. Doesn't look like he was able to get the time this time around, but Partonen very, very much there, trying to pressure. Tight line for Freisha through Luffield.
Somebody kick it up. Oh, who is that? That is Paul Williams. That is a lap down car, but he looks like he had some sort of serious problem. We'll try and check on that in a little bit, as Phil Lake is also falling down the order behind them. But let's stay here, because here comes Freisha once again. This time he's got an overlap. He's tried this once before, but once again, he doesn't think it's worth the risk with still 11 laps to go.
Yeah, it was a pretty heads-up move there, just seeing if he could maybe force De Turk off the line. Again, he's struggling from a little bit of tire spin there every time coming off of Chapel. That car just wanting to sort of step out on him. He's got to try something to change that, because he looks very good here going into Stowe. Pokes his nose to the inside. De Turk covers it off. Parton and not really able to get too much ground caught up on them, but still keeping in the fight.
And behind them, Hovdahl had to play defense on Millward, who tried to pass him around the outside of Stowe. So those two also closing in on this group, but battling amongst themselves. As we can see, both battles are just erupting on track. And this time, Frisha is tired of taking no. He is going to squeeze a yes out of this pass. Not this time, at least. Into Bridge. He backed out of it, tries to size him up yet again. He already tried it once into Brooklands. That didn't work, so he doesn't do that one again. Now into Luffield. What has he learned from the past few times? He's been inside. He's been outside. Neither has stuck. He this time stays behind. Is this what he's been looking for?
That's Valverde getting out of the way. There's some lapped cars. Looks like it's about car length and a half. He's going to poke his nose to the inside, fall back into line through Copse. Has a little bit more of a narrow entry in there. I think he's able to carry more speed. He's going to try that attack again into Maggots and Beckett's.
Just doesn't quite have the speed. He wants to be there to the inside, and it isn't close enough for his liking. And I am shocked that Partanen has not made some sort of attempts in all of this craziness that is unfolding in front of him. He's got 10 laps to go. There's still time for him to attack, but those two have got to be slowing each other up.
Oh, very much so. Even though on that lap, Frisha looks like he was able to avoid any wheel spin coming off of Chapel, but just not able to get the deal done there. Diving it into Vale, now around through Club. Partanen getting closer and closer in the mirrors of that yellow number 1. Wide line there on the exit of Club for both Frisha and Partanen.
And an update on Phil Lake for those wondering. He spun in this portion of the track once again. Slightly different corner through Brooklands this time. These three stay in order. And some of them kicking up dust there, getting so close to the outside edge of the track. Watching over the shoulder of Partanen as both Frisha and the Turk fight not just for position, but the championship. This time it's the Turk Frisha, who goes a little wide.
Oh, just trying to do a little bit of mind games there going into Copse. I have to say, you know, we've talked a couple of times about Frisha's line going into Brooklands. That very, very wide line he seems to be taking. Trying to get a move done here through Maggots and Beckett's, but not happening yet. He's got to watch that, because if Partanen is closer on him going into that corner, Joe, I think there's a very real possibility that Partanen could surprise him and send one down the inside.
Yeah, I think you're right. That whole section just offers up opportunities because it switches back and forth so much. So I wouldn't be shocked if Pauli says, there's my chance, and just gives it a go. Meanwhile, out of Stowe corner, look at how much closer behind them that battle is getting. Hovdahl and Millward, they look like they may have settled down and have seen what's going on, have called a short truce, and are trying to see if they can fight for a podium.
They very well could be, and they look like they're on their way to it. The gap between them is now holding at about 1.2 seconds. All right, let's see again here. All right, Frisha taking my advice a little bit, not taking that super wide line into Brooklands. That's somebody off in the back.
Millward went too wide into Priory, cost himself a chance at a good finish as he smacks the wall. Here's the replay. Unfortunately, the last bit of it there, he was chasing Hovdahl. I wonder if the buffeting air cost him a little grip, and that's what made the slip up.
Very well could be. Here he is diving under Bridge. Now this is where he loses it. Oh, I think that looked a little bit like he was just trying to catch a little bit of a snap of oversteer. Partanen's had a little bit of a problem. He has fallen back massively from the battle. We ride on board right now with Gernot Frisha as they make their way off of Chapel. Looks like a pretty decent run there from Frisha, but we've seen that car not exactly have the best straight line speed.
Maybe he cranked a little too much in it. Everybody else struggling with the tires having slipped around, while Frisha's slow straight line speed kept them good in the corners. As for Partanen, he went wide at Copse, saved the car from spinning into the barriers, but it meant that now Hovdahl is trying to chase him. So we're down to 4 drivers as we've lost at least one of them, but it's also split into 2 pairs. On top of that, Detert just ahead of Gernot Frisha. Look at how wide he's taking that entry into Priory just to get him the speed. And once again, he's much closer to the apex, but nothing doing.
He's trying and doing a little bit of an opposite line here, just trying to get the good run through left field. Runs a little bit wide, a little bit of wheel spin, a little bit of rear wiggle on that number one, but he's got a decent run here into Copse. He's going to poke his nose to the inside, fall back into line. Ooh, better line there coming out through Copse. Car almost got sideways, though, on Gernot. That's going to hurt him.
He did get a little bit of a run, but he's just not finding himself getting any overlap. We've seen him outbrake the Turk into the Maggots-Beckett sequence. Could he maybe try and do something wild and just get his nose in and manage to go side by side into the final part? Or will he need to? Because now he's got a great run, and the Turk is starting to feel the pressure as he goes all the way to the inside, covers the middle of the track. Frecia says, doesn't matter, you've given me enough space, I'm gonna get through. And after many laps of trying, Gernot Frecia is passed.
Great move there from Gernot Frecia. Absolutely incredible. Let's go back and check out a replay, Joe. This was a move that was about 10 laps in the making.
Finally got the run that he's been wanting. And you could see De Turk knew it was a bad one on his part. Went all the way to the inside, forced him the long way around. Oh, and if we come back, oh no! It came to a big problem with De Turk into Priory. The cars almost came together and Michael hit the wall. I'm not sure what exactly is going on here, but we need a replay of this because it almost looked like Frecia made an intentional move.
Yeah, a little bit. I think this was a hair of a block here from Frecia. You see a good run there from De Turk. Comes in. Yeah, I honestly think that's not like Gernot to actually do that move. I think he didn't realize that De Turk was there on the inside of him. Just seems like a move that's not in character for Gernot Frecia.
Yeah, that was very late. So apologies for even implicating that. Gernot does look like he just didn't know it was a last-second move, and unfortunately, he was used to taking that line. In the meantime, Frecia actually slipped up out of left field, and this has meant that Partanen snuck by. He almost was able to get by the Finn, but Pauli, who is a number 16 car in terms of iRating, started from 6, is up to second, is going to get a massive haul of points today.
Yeah, he very much is, and I'd be a little bit worried if I was Frecia about maybe some damage to that car. Looks like he's holding it relatively well. Right on board with Hovdal. Now, Hovdal's been quick all race. He takes a little bit of a closer line there. There we see Frecia still running that very wide entry into Priory before they get on the binders for Brooklands. Bringing it down and around. Tighter exit there from Frecia. He's going to try to have a move. Oh, that was really nice from Parton, and just breaking it up, backing it up a little bit at the apex, forcing Gernot Frecia to check up.
But he's got a decent run once again, and he's going to show himself in the mirrors of Pauli. But it looks like off the corner, he's going to be able to retain that spot. Second place in the clutches of the Finn. Frecia seeing if he could once again get close enough here through the Maggots and Beckett sequence, but he's got to watch out because here comes Hovdal. Hovdal struggling to get the power down himself. They spread apart, and I don't think we're going to see it pass this time.
No, neither do I. It looked like on that entrance there into Chapel, or the exit rather, it looked a little bit like Frecia just couldn't get the car where he wanted to. When he's had the best runs, it's when he's been able to stay off of that curbing on the left side of the road. Ooh, Hovdal looking a little bit aggressive there going into Vale.
So not only has Hovdal joined the fray, but behind him, Ove Trangrade is starting to catch the train. We're going to be 4 to go here pretty soon, so laps are running out. This podium has been a decision for best of the rest because Marco has jumped away from everybody else, and things are getting sloppy for Gernot Frecia as he wiggles off of Priory that time.
I wonder if that contact there with Michael De Turk may have damaged the under tray a little bit of that car. As we always talk about with the ground effects, if you get even the most minor damage to the floor of the car, it can really, really affect the handling, make that car all kinds of slippery.
De Turk, by the way, is back in 6th and is lacking pace. I'm not sure, did they actually touch? I thought he just reacted to the car moving over next to him suddenly.
It looked like there may have been a hair of contact, Joe. I just checked out the replay. It's not massive, but with as sensitive as the under tray of these cars are, even that little of contact between the two can cause damage. Good run here for Gernot, though. Is he going to be able to make a move going down into Stowe? He's going to poke his nose to the inside. That's going to be Partonen shutting the door.
This has been a frustrating day for Gernot, no doubt. Stuck behind one driver for pretty much the entire race. Now stuck behind another for the same position that he wanted before. He's still got these next 3 laps to go. He's got to be careful that Hovdal doesn't take advantage of it and steal that third away from him, especially now that Freesia is going to be getting points, valuable points over to Turk in this championship.
Indeed, you saw their great run by Freesia coming through Abbey and down through Bridge, but had to check up when they came under Bridge. Now we follow. He's got a good run here out of Luffield. I don't know if that's going to be enough for him to pull alongside into Copse. He's going to think about it, pokes his nose to the inside. No, falls back into line on Partonen. Can he keep it down here? Yes, he can. Is he maybe going to be able to make the move into Maggots?
He's looking off the left and then lifts just a hair and stays behind him. The incredible thing about all of this is that Freesia, despite leading the championship, has not won this season. Oh, he had a horrible exit. Hovdal had a great one. It's going to be reverse rolls, but he doesn't defend. He allows Hovdal to get to the inside of him. Slight defense up ahead by Pauli, and into Stowe corner, round the outside, coming right back at him, using that extra downforce. Freesia somehow will respond and hold on to third.
That was absolutely mega from Freesia. Remember, that's how he made the pass on Michael de Turk around the outside of Stowe. So he clearly likes that outside line. Very, very 4D chess type of move there from Gernot, knowing that he could carry the speed around the outside.
Also, championship implications. Millward with another spin. He's down to 12th. Despite gaining so much last round, it looks like he might lose out. A look to the inside. Freesia poking his nose everywhere he possibly can, knowing it's 2 to go.
He really wants that P2 away from Partonen here. About a car length and a half as they charge down the pit straight. Not going to make the move coming through Copse. Looks like Hovdal was able to close a little bit more. Freesia losing a little bit of touch. That gap holding steady. Now we come into Maggots and Beckett's for the penultimate time.
Partonen is not in this championship hunt. Hovdal's pretty far down the points, so it's highly unlikely he'll get involved. Traegerade, same thing. His fight is not with these 3 around him as they come up to the lapped car of William Stain. Out of the way, great job by the 14. Freesia has to weigh the risks here, and the risks might have been good enough, but not enough to try and send Pauli's car flying. He drops back into Stowe and remains in third.
Now remember, we've seen him get some good runs there. Ooh, but it looks like those tires just ran out of grip there on the exit of Club. That number 1 drifting perilously wide. Now Hovdal's got a good run. They make their way through the left-hander of Abbey. Now into the right-hander, and that's Hovdal down to the inside.
But it becomes the outside into Priory. The car slides sideways down through the left-hander. Brooklands, once again, both of them losing grip, and they're both going to potentially lose positions. 2 spots down for Freesia. Traegerade trying to see if he can attack Hovdal. Hovdal also, the tires have given up. Look at that car counter-steering all the way around.
Here comes Traegerade. He's got a good run, trying to poke his nose maybe to the outside of Copse here. They're going to be almost parallel. That's the white flag out. This is the last time by. And here comes Freesia down to the inside of Traegerade as they go into Maggots and Beckett's.
He wants those spots back. Those are points that he needs in this championship to keep himself safe. He's been nothing if not consistent here this season, even if he can't get the wins. And once again, wide for Hovdal as the car just slips and slides around down the hangar straight. Ove Traegerade looks faster. Down to the defensive line goes Hovdal. Up to Stowe corner, around the outside. Ove Traegerade wheel to wheel with Hovdal, and Freesia watching from behind. They're still side by side. Coming into Vale, this quick chicane back and forth, way too wide for Ove Traegerade. Tries to cut back down, but here comes Freesia.
Prix going to hang in the tire tracks there of Trangrade. It looks like as they go through Abbey, he's going to have the better line. They're in a nice little diamond here. Now Hovdal fights back, coming into the right-hander of Bridge. It's going to be line preferred over to Fricha. He's got it.
And we got to go to Marco Kayla. It's a much calmer race for this man in the number 2, who takes the win here at Silverstone. Back in that fight, Trangrade still in 3rd, but Frisch's managed to get back into 4th place. He's not going to get up onto the podium. Trangrade will from 7th on the grid. What a battle.
What an amazing display there from really all 4 of those drivers, Parton, Trangrade, Fricha, and Hovdal. And absolutely incredible.
That's the last of our battles on track with only 16 drivers on the lead lap. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. So stick around.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12-Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Silverstone. We got a classic on our hands with that fight for 2nd and 3rd place coming down to the last lap, but it was Marco Kayla who cruised to victory up from pole. Lights to flag for him. Partonen somehow went from 6th to 2nd, taking advantage of everybody else around him, having a little too much fun with one another. Trangrade up to 3rd for him as Fricha. Unfortunately, this seems to be a very big theme today. Losing points when he could have done a little more out there. Hovdal was 5th behind him as Seppa was P6. Michael de Turk only getting 7th, but I wonder how he feels about that incident, if he's had a chance to talk to Gernot yet. Barba is going to be 8th with Lake having multiple spins, finishing 9th, and Banker getting a top 10.
In 11th, it was Nicholas Mukanos, followed by Pekka Kalahara, with Alex Millward in a disappointing 13th. Bed Laughter was 14th, followed by Robert Pumley and Sebastian Morin. And then we get into some of the drivers that finished a lap down. Sergio Verde, Paul Williams, 6 laps down, unable to finish the race, as were Vaskalampi and Tolinen.
That battle was something else, but it was still Fricha who took the most points. Our championship leader will extend his gap. It's just not nearly as big of a points haul as I think he would have hoped for. That opening few corners for Fricha turned out to be so decisive for this race, DJ. Getting passed by those cars put him in a bad position. I wonder if he's going to rethink his setup strategy.
He may have to. You know, we were speculating for a lot of that race that he was running a higher downforce setting. Car did clearly come alive later in the race, but just not enough to really make it work.
Speaking of which, looks like we have the fourth place finisher ready to talk to us. Let's have a chat with Gernot Prix and see what he thinks. Gernot, you dropped a couple of spots at the very start of this race, and then you had to fight hard to try and get him back later on. Do you regret the way that you went with the setup, that it seemed a little slow at the start and fast at the end, or was there other reasoning for that going on?
Yeah, mid-race, I really did regret my setup decision. On the other hand, I didn't do much testing, so basically took an old set from the last time we've been here, added tire pressures and went for it without much practice. So my main practice was the race before, and I saw that I had good pace, so I was quite confident for the race. On the other hand, the first lap, compromised my race quite a lot.
It certainly looked like it. Now, you had an interesting moment with the Turk as you two were fighting, where you were side by side, and unfortunately he went off track, either in avoidance or with a slight touch. Have you had a chance to talk to him at all about what happened there?
No, not yet. To be honest, I don't know what's really happened there. I just saw that he left the track, and we were both really on the edge in that corner, and I didn't expect him to try passing the outside, because he usually can do it in that place. So he must have been really close and probably tried to avoid me. I didn't get an incident point, so I don't think we touched. But would need to check the replay to see what really happened there. I'm sorry for him, because he did a great race and also had podium pace for sure.
Yeah, we kind of figured out that it wasn't anything intentional, and maybe didn't realize that he was going to be there. Regardless, in spite of everything, you've still gained points on all of your rivals, finishing ahead of them so far. But the question is, when's that elusive victory going to come this season?
Well, I have no idea. Actually, it doesn't want to come. I'm not really focused on that. So I'm trying to do a good season, a fun season as well, and don't see myself really in the best place to win this time. I think others are in a better position, maybe, even if the points are looking otherwise. So we'll see how the season goes.
Sounds fair, and we'll keep an eye out for you. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
It's usually you guys and the opponents. They've made up for a really crazy race. I think it must have been a fun broadcast as well. So see you guys.
That was Gernot Prix, fourth place today, but with plenty of fun to at least give him something to talk about later on, as we now close up shop. And we want to give a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, let's thank the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast. We've listed them here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp to see more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, DJ, Ryan, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below, where, while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. The next race is at the Red Bull Ring. That'll be Sunday, August 8th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar, because if you can't wait for next week on the Red Bull Ring, the Absolute Beginners League is going there in just a few minutes' time. So stick around for that, because until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.